You've probably heard of him. The strange, kind of goatish-looking kid from that rundown farmhouse? Yeah, he's a true icon of cosmic horror. So today, we're going to do a deep dive into the truly monstrous life of Wilbur Whateley from HP Lovecraft's classic, The Dunwich Horror. And hey, if you're new to this whole corner of fiction, get ready. This is a perfect introduction to what makes it so uniquely terrifying.
And that question really is what this story is all about. See, Wilbur wasn't some monster hiding in a faraway castle. Nope, he was the kid in that creepy, decaying farmhouse just down the road. A presence that felt deeply, fundamentally wrong to everyone around him. So let's trace the story of his very unnatural life.
So here's the roadmap for his bizarre and terrifyingly short life. We're going to start with his monstrous birth, move into his freakishly fast childhood, uncover the dark secret festering in his home, follow his desperate quest for power, and then get to the horrifying revelation of what was really hiding under his clothes.
All right, let's set the scene. Our story begins in the decrepit, totally isolated village of Dunwich, Massachusetts. This is a place full of hushed whispers and dark local legends. It's right here, in 1913, that Wilbur Whateley makes his grand entrance into the world. You know, Wilbur's family was basically a recipe for disaster. His mother, Lavinia, was a local outcast, and his grandfather was a full-blown sorcerer, always messing around with dark magic. And his father? Well, let's just say he wasn't exactly from around here. He was actually an otherworldly cosmic being named Yog-Sothoth, summoned by old Whateley's forbidden rituals. Yeah.
His birth, on February 2nd, was marked by these weird tremors in the hills and every dog in the area just going absolutely frantic, as if nature itself was recoiling from his arrival. The locals, they didn't see a child. They saw something hideous, something unnatural that just didn't belong.
And you know what? Things only got stranger from there, because Wilbur's childhood was, a biological impossibility. The kid grew at a rate that just completely defies all known science.
I mean, really think about this timeline for a second. He was speaking in full, complex sentences before he was even a year old. By the time he should have been in kindergarten, he looked like a 15-year-old. And by 15, he's a 9-foot-tall giant and still growing. This wasn't just a kid who was a little ahead of the curve. This was something monstrous.
So you have the people of Dunwich, right? They were freaked out, for sure, but they tried to rationalize it. Oh, he's just an ugly, strangely smart boy. But the animals, they couldn't be fooled. The dogs especially reacted with this pure instinctual terror because of his foul, otherworldly scent. Their primal fear was this constant, barking reminder that Wilbur was not truly human.
He was always wearing these heavy, concealing clothes, even in the dead of summer. And you gotta ask why. It wasn't a fashion statement. It was a cover-up, a way to hide a horrifying physical reality. Even his voice was a giveaway. It had this deep, booming resonance that suggested a vocal structure that was totally alien, capable of speaking languages that were never meant for human tongues. Okay, so as bizarre as Wilbur was walking around town, the real horror was festering back at the family farmhouse. It was getting larger and a whole lot more demanding with every passing year.
The warning signs were just impossible to ignore. Old Whateley keeps buying cattle, but funny enough, his herd never gets any bigger. Then he starts these weird renovations, knocking out all the interior walls, boarding up the windows, basically turning the entire farmhouse into a giant cage. It was obvious they were feeding a secret, and whatever it was growing.
And here it is, the shocking truth. Wilbur was a twin, but his brother was a formless, completely invisible monster that, as the story says, looked more like the father. This creature was the reason for all the secrecy, for the vanishing cattle and the reinforced walls. It was the true horror in the house.
So after his grandfather dies and his mother just mysteriously disappears, the entire weight of the family's dark project falls right onto Wilbur's shoulders, and that's when he embarks on this desperate quest for one single forbidden book.
He needed the Necronomicon. Think of it as the most dangerous book of spells you could ever imagine. And he wasn't just browsing. He needed a very specific spell on page 751 of the complete text. This incantation was the key to fulfilling his grandfather's ultimate goal, to summon his cosmic father, Yog-Sothoth, to Earth and, let it take over.
Problem was, the Whateley family copy was damaged,
missing that crucial page. So his only option was to travel to the library at Miskatonic University in Arkham. But the head librarian, a very sharp guy named Dr. Armitage, he immediately sensed the profound wrongness about Wilbur. Armitage didn't just deny him the book, he sent out warnings to other libraries, basically cutting off every legitimate path Wilbur had.
So, he's been thwarted, he's getting desperate, and this is where Wilbur's story just hurtles toward its violent climax. This is the moment where the facade is, quite literally, torn away, exposing the monster he'd been hiding his entire life. On that fateful night, Wilbur decides to just take the book by force. He breaks into the Miskatonic library, but he didn't count on the guard dog. And this dog, driven absolutely mad by his unnatural scent, attacked him with a savagery that no normal animal would ever possess.
And here is the supreme cosmic irony. As he's lying there, dying on the library floor, Wilbur starts to babble. And what he's saying are the very words from the spell on page 751, the incantation he had dedicated his entire life to finding. He utters his life's goal at the exact moment of his ultimate failure.
When the professors show up, the dog has torn Wilbur's clothes to shreds, and the truth is out. What spilled from his wounds wasn't blood, but this foul-smelling greenish-yellow ichor, and below the waist he was purely monstrous, covered in coarse fur, writhing with tentacles, and staring out from these rudimentary eyes on his hips. He was only ever partially human, a grotesque hybrid.
And just when you think it cannot possibly get any weirder, it does. With no solid bones to hold it all together, his body, it just melts away. It dissolves into a sticky puddle on the floor, leaving almost no trace. It was as if his physical form was just this temporary illusion that completely vanished upon death.
This leaves us with one last, really chilling thought. Wilbur was a monster, no question about it. But with him dead, there was no one left to feed or contain that invisible creature back in the farmhouse. It soon broke free, and it went on a rampage across Dunwich. So the question remains, was Wilbur, the half-human gatekeeper, the true horror? Or was he just the prelude to something far, far worse?